Morning, everyone. I'm Ben Putley, CEO of Alkimi Exchange. I've got the pleasure to be joined by a fair few of us alchemists today. So we've got Chandru, our CTO, and Vijay and Kali, who are part of our engineering team, and then some more familiar faces in Neil and Chorley. And this is quite an exciting call that we've got today. So Chandru and his team have been very, very busy since we launched the company, setting us out onto our roadmap and kind of beginning the development of the Alkimi Exchange State Channel. And we have got some developments that we can show you today. So the main goals for us as we kind of looked at the development was to begin to allow the interoperability that's going to be required to start happening. So being able to use existing infrastructure in Prebid and OpenRTB, hooking that up to a state channel to allow us to start onboarding data from digital advertising world into the Alex state channel, and then kind of setting us on our path to a fully fledged decentralized advertising exchange. So Chandru, if you want to introduce yourself, please do, but otherwise I'll pass the mic over to you. And yeah, excited to see what you have in store for us today, mate.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, everybody. My name is Chandru. And I'm the CTO of Alkimi Exchange, and I have with us today two guys from our development team, Kali and Vijay as well. So basically what we have for you today is a small sample of what Alkimi Exchange can do in terms of revolutionizing the ad world. I know, this has been said many times before, but, the dollar that an advertiser spent is not fully utilized and it does not reach the publisher. So there's quite a bit of drop in terms of revenue when that dollar reaches the advertiser. So what we're going to show you today is the end-to-end process of what happens from when a publisher or say a website wants to show an ad to a user, and how that whole process works and how we can optimize the whole process using Alkimi Exchange and Constellation. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Ben, I think you'll need to make me a presenter.
How do I do that? Yeah. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
A bit early for that in the morning.
Okay, so this is a web page that we've put together, and this can really be any web page. And this is a web page which represents certain ad slots. Now, these are ads that are shown to the users who are visiting that web page. The ad slots can be either, banners or static, files like this, or we can have videos, or we can have audio. So there are different types of ads that can be displayed to the users. Now, in this whole ecosystem, we have three main parties. One is the publisher, or the party that owns the web page that is displaying the ad to the user. And then we have the Alkimi Exchange, which facilitates the whole process of determining which ad to be shown to the user. And then we have a set of bidders who actually bid and bid, and they say, what is the amount of money that they're willing to pay in order for their ad to be shown to the user. So these are the main three parties. Now, what we have here is the first party, which is the publisher, and this can be, as I said, any web page. Now, what we have for you here is a bidder configuration page that we've just prepared. Now, what we have is we have prepared 3 test bidders, and we will show you what happens when a user visits a page and how the whole auction process works. Now, as I said, we have 3 test bidders, but this can be any number. So this can be even 30, for example. And we are configuring the way the bidders would send their bid responses. That is, we can configure using this page the price that the bidders would bid for this banner ad. We refer to this as the banner ad, and this is the video ad. So we can configure the price, and this is the cost per 1,000 impressions. It is called the CPM. This determines the amount that bidder 1 is going to be bidding. And we can also configure the ad asset that bidder 1 would want to show the user should they win the bid, right? And similarly for bidder 2 and bidder 3. So let's start configuring this. And I can show you that there's another concept that the publisher can specify, which is called the floor bid price. Now, the publisher can say, for this ad, for any ad to be shown in that slot, I will require a minimum of a certain price. And if the price that is being quoted by each of the bidders does not falls below that threshold, they are not going to show that ad, right? So that becomes an invalid bid. So the floor bid price for these two ad slots, the banner ad and the video ad, is 0.5. So let's configure some bids to go above 0.5. Let's say I quote 0.6 and 0.6 for bidder 1, which is above the floor bid price. I'm going to say 0.8 and 0.9 for bidder 2. And let's say we have 1 and 1 for bidder 3, right? So I've applied this configuration, and now what we see is bidder 3 is quoting the highest price for both the banner and the video, and we have the assets that are specified here. So what happens at this point is when the user visits this page, and I'm just going to refresh this page. You see, when I refresh this page, everything happens in an instance. You know, it takes less than a second, where there's a JavaScript that's embedded into this web page, which sends out what we refer to as a bid request to the Alkimi Exchange. And Alkimi Exchange would in turn send out that bid request to all the registered bidders, which in this case is bidders 1, 2, and 3. Now, once that happens, the bidders would send back the response, which is what has been configured here. And Alkimi Exchange would then determine what the best bid response is, and it would then forward the winning bid along with the assets to the publisher or this web page. And the winning ad, the ad corresponding to the winning bid, is what is rendered here. And if we look at the configuration page again, we see that bidder 3 has won the auction to display an ad both for the banner ad and the video ad. And as we can see here, we have the banner ad, and we've got a watermark here, which says that this is bidder 3. And for the video ad as well, we've got a watermark on the video, which says this is bidder 3, right? So if I were to play around with this, and let's say we increase this bid to 2 and 1.5, for example, apply that configuration. So with the new configuration, we should actually see that bidder 1 should win the auction for both the video and the banner. So if I were to refresh this page again, we see that the ad that's displayed, the banner ad and the video ad, now correspond to bidder 1 and not to bidder 3, as we could see in the last iteration. So we can actually play around with this, and maybe we can make the video ad have a bid of 3 from bidder 2. So what we should now see is that the banner ad is won by bidder 1, while the video ad is won by bidder 2. Let's do a quick refresh of this page. There you go. So the banner ad is won by bidder 1, and the video ad is now won by bidder 2, which is what has been configured in this page. Banner ad won by bidder 1 and video ad by bidder 2, right? There's another concept here that I would like to show you, but before that, I think if I can show you some other bits of information, and I'm just going to refresh this page again with bidder 1 having won the banner ad and bidder 2 having won the video ad. So if we look at the requests and the responses that are going back and forth on this page, we look at this request payload. Now, this is the payload that this web page or the publisher sends to Alkimi Exchange. And we can see here that there are two parts to it. The first part is for the banner, as you can see here. And this is the bid ID for that banner. And we were talking about the floor bid price, which is 0.5. So this also specifies what is the width and the height of this particular ad slot. We can also see for the video ad type, there's also a bid floor price of 0.5, and we have the height and the width that's also specified in this bid request. Now, once this bid request goes on to Alkimi Exchange, an auction is conducted where all the bidders are contacted and they're informed that there is such a bid, and you can send us your responses. Those responses are collated, and a winning response is then sent back to the publisher. This is the winning response, and I'm going to show you how that looks as well. Process that. Put this down a bit. Right. So here we see the response, and this is the response that's going from Alkimi Exchange to the publisher. So what that contains is, for this particular ad slot, which is the banner ad, with this bid ID, that's the media type, again, the banner. This particular banner ad was won by bidder ID 1, which is what we see here. And the winning bid was a CPM of 2, which is what has been specified here from bidder 1. And it also has quite a lot of other information. One of the important things that we would like to highlight here is the ad asset that needs to be displayed when bidder 1 wins the auction. We can also see that the response contains a similar part which talks about video. So we've got the media type being video, and we can see that the winning bid is the bidder with ID 2, and the winning bid price is 3, which is exactly what we had specified here for the video price from bidder 2. Right? So that's one part of it. And I also wanted to show you that there is also what we refer to as an impression object, for example. Now, an impression is when the ad is successfully shown to the user. Then there is a response that is coming back from the publisher to Alkimi Exchange. And this is a confirmation that the ad from the winning bidder has actually been shown to the user. And I can show you that this response, which comes back from the publisher to the Alkimi Exchange, also captures that there is a bid ID of 118081. The winning bid was bidder ID 1, and the winning price was 2. And we also have the impression ID and request ID as well. So what we have here is all the data that can be captured on the blockchain, and we can ensure an end-to-end transparency in the whole system. I'm going to show you all the data that is being captured currently in a CSV file. But before we get to that, just want to ask, are there any questions before we move on to the next part of the demo?
I think if we go back to the impression object, Chandru, on the previous page.
Sure.
I think at the moment, yeah, exactly. I think at the moment the industry is facing what is called the cookie apocalypse, right? So Google have decided to depreciate cookies in their Chrome browser in much the same way that Apple had done with Safari a long time ago. The issue with that is the kind of the programmatic ecosystem has largely been underpinned by the cookie since its inception, right? It allows for behavioral-based targeting, it allows for impression tracking, it allows for click tracking, and just generally provides information on the performance. And it's been used, I think, or not recklessly by the industry, but I don't think that the cookie has been communicated particularly well to the people that use the internet, right? What does it do exactly? I mean, the fact that it's called a cookie kind of makes it sound nice anyway, right? Like everyone likes a cookie. So I think that people are slowly becoming aware to their data being bought and sold. And when we were talking about this yesterday, Chandru, like we were all very excited about the potential of these impression objects to potentially replace a cookie. There's a lot of information that can be cryptographically secured and transported through the hypergraph to buyers and sellers. It then, because of that transparency, kind of brings forward the future where you and I as internet users can be brought into this value exchange. And yeah, I think one of the things that, although it just looks like a couple of lines of code on a screen in this panel, it's the implications of what's possible with this, being able to onboard it onto the blockchain, are kind of mind-blowing. We were all kind of sat back when we saw this yesterday and our heads kind of exploded a little bit, because this solves a huge number of issues. I mean, even in terms of like data protection regulations like the GDPR, this has a chance to make
Absolutely.
an impact. So yeah, maybe Chan, if you want to kind of give a technical like kind of view about how the object kind of would replace a cookie, if that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, for us, it's so exciting that not only is there now a bidder that is kind of the key to onboarding all advertiser demand, all publisher supply, you have this impression object that can be used as a proxy for a cookie, which, yeah.
Absolutely, Ben.
That amazing.
That's absolutely right. And, from a privacy point of view as well, there's no identification data here. We just work on IDs. We have a bidder ID, we have a publisher ID, or a bid request ID. And it's not possible for us to identify the parties involved just based on the IDs. So there's no mapping between the IDs and the actual parties. So that would, in a way, prevent us from getting into issues with GDPR. That there's no user ID, for example, user information in terms of PII that's being exposed on the blockchain, which is something that we would really like to avoid. So yes, I think that's a plus point as well.
Yeah, it really helps for the sovereignty of data, effectively, doesn't it? Of each individual user, gives them the ability to do things, to cryptographically secure their own data and be in charge of that as well, right?
Absolutely.
And I think just like, surely you're aware of this kind of with your experience at Condé Nast, but when these requests go out, there's a number of objects that go in this response, and you're pinging a number of different servers, which is inefficient, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 8 different objects going off in 8 different directions, then there's the ability for ones to get lost, not come back. That's where you have that incomplete data. And yeah, if you have one larger object with all the information on it, anybody connecting to the hypergraph can use that data rather than having it go off into a siloed ad server somewhere. So
they can use it and then they can see it.
Yeah.
Right. Like what we're looking at here is a log level bit of data, right? And that is expensive to produce in current centralized systems. It's difficult to then manage. It's difficult to crunch. And through what's possible on the hypergraph, it's way easier. It's way cheaper to see exactly what's going on. And that's the key, right? Like opaque margins will disappear if you can see what's going on. Impressions lost through discrepancy will disappear. Now you can see what's going on. It's just like, for me and for all the conversations all the team have had with publishers and advertisers, like seeing this kind of made like, oh shit, like everything we've set out to say we've been doing is like, this is the first step. This is built. This is kind of leading us to the path where the Alkimi Exchange can start supporting the transparent and efficient selling of buying and selling digital ads on the internet. It's kind of crazy. We were all vibrating yesterday, and we're all still vibrating now, because this is absolutely incredible. We've been blown away by the work that you and the team have done. And yeah, we're just beside ourselves, really. Like it's incredible position to be in. Like nicely done, guys. Nicely done. we still there? Or have you also just passed out with excitement as well?
I've dropped off.
Can you hear me now? We're back.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I
hear
can
you
hear you,
now.
mate.
So seems like our technology is more reliable than Zoom at the moment. Hopefully that hasn't messed up the recording at all, but I think we got the juicy bits out in that first section. We had a slight ad break in the middle. Normal service.
Mid-roll.
Yeah. I don't know if we were able to pick up the bid response from those ads that ran in the break there, Chandru, but maybe that's for the next demo.
Absolutely.
So without getting ahead of ourselves, without wanting to put kind of any future pressure, but like, yeah, this is the first step, right? Like, this is what we set out to do on our roadmaps, what we wanted to build. We have the beginnings of these bidders, and the amazing thing about what Chandru and the team have been able to do is that these are built on Prebid, which is a huge open source project that allows publishers to connect demand sources to their site. It's ubiquitous at the moment, and our bidder is built in Prebid, so there'll be a point when this exists that we can share this with people in the market, and if they have an interest in building out their own bidder, there will be documentation, there will be the framework of the bidder itself to start any interested party creating an adapter that allows them to hook up their site or demand to the hypergraph. And that's really what we're looking for here, is adoption in the market, product market fit, and then a much more transparent, efficient, productive way to buy and sell ads on the internet that respects everyone that uses it, provides better performance for advertisers, and more yield for publishers to continue creating great content, reporting on news, investigating whatever it may be, you name it. There's going to be more revenue back in the system for what is a market that has struggled over the last 10, 15 years. So it's, yeah, I think I for once, I think I'm kind of lost for words. I kind of think what to say. It doesn't often happen to me, but yeah, I'll just, again, just thank you. Thanks to the three of you for kind of worked tirelessly on this, on a new technology, right, which is amazing, but it's new technology. So yeah, we've been blown away. Round of applause to you guys. I think this is absolutely amazing. Nicely done, boys. Very nicely done.
Thanks for all the support, Ben, Neil, Choli.
Not at all.
So I think the last thing
that I
as well,
wanted to show you guys, which is, we were talking about the whole concept of floor bid price, Ben. I just wanted to show you what we can do in terms of defining what we call a house bidder. And maybe you can tell us how we can use it, Ben.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah. This is a bit of alpha then, isn't it?
yeah, which is the alpha leak.
Exactly. Yeah. So as we can see, the floor bid price for both these slots are 0.5. So what I'm going to do is change this to 0.2 for bidder 1. I'm just going to invalidate their bids now for bidder 1 and bidder 2. Right, so these are no longer valid bid responses. And I'm going to specify -1 here for bidder 3. And now what we have done is to map the value of -1 here to what we refer to as a house bidder price, or this bidder is now a house bidder which will always bid at the floor bid price, whatever the ad slot, whatever the media type. So this is like our fallback mechanism to ensure that there is a ad that is displayed and the publisher is happy because there's always a valid bid, even if there are no other valid bid responses. So what we can do is, specify this as -1. And if I were to refresh this page now, and I can show you what is happening with that particular bid request and response. We've seen this before, which is where we have the bid requests, and we can see that the winning bid is bidder 3 here and bidder 3 here as well, which kind of makes sense because the floor bid price is 0.5 and we've specified -1, which should map to a value of 0.5 for the house bidder. So this is also seen here where the floor bid price is 0.5 for both the video and the banner ad slots. But in the response now, if you see, go back here, plug this in. You see for the banner ad, we have bidder 3 winning the bid with a CPM of 0.5, which is exactly what was specified in the bid request as the floor bid price. And further, for the video ad as well, we've got a CPM of 0.5 from bidder 3. So this shows how we can configure a bidder to be a house bidder which always bids at the floor price, right? And we can show you a little bit of the kind of data that is captured as part of that. But I can also show you what the impression object looks like, where we have bidder 3 winning the auction with a price of 0.5, and one is for a banner while the other is for video. So this is a small concept that we wanted to introduce, the concept of the house bidder. Ben, do you want to tell us how this can be used and how Alkimi plan to use this concept?
Yeah, definitely. So we talk about the market being inefficient, and kind of the sad part is that a publisher may never, or a website may never actually even sell all of the impressions they have available at any period of time. It might be that over an hour, they perhaps sell 40 to 50% of the available inventory. So there's always a lot of inventory that goes unsold. And there's a couple of things that publishers will do with this. It may be that they sell this to an intermediary at slightly lower price than what they're selling their ads directly to advertisers for, to allow them the chance to use another ad tech sales team to drum up some demand and actually sell that inventory that they have. Or in the instance that that intermediary doesn't want to buy the ad, they will return to a house ad, which might be promoting their newsletter or whatever it may be. But what you tend to see happen is that as you kind of go further down this chain, it's less and less desirable ad units. It might be belly fat ads or whatever.
Rec circulation.
Exactly, yeah. So like ads that generally don't do much for the content on the page and can kind of have a negative impact depending on what that ad unit is, right? So we're in a position now with being able to find the floor price for a particular publisher and bid at that rate in the event that no one else wants that impression. We can take it. And because of generative economics and validating data, it means we're actually in a position where we may not necessarily have to show an ad to a publisher, but actually still be able to pay them for it. So like, yeah, that, I mean, kind of let that like breathe a little bit. Like when we kind of beginning the project at the very beginning, there was this idea that Alkimi in general is this process of creating something from nothing, kind of combining two elements. So we kind of, this is almost a play on that. Like we want to give websites something for nothing at the end of the day, the ability to earn revenue, to reduce the ad units on page, to actually see for the first time how much data they can access on the hypergraph, the transparency of that data, the speed of that data, and the fact that that is an immutable record that has been verified by every validator on the network itself. And it's a very, very nice, efficient way for us to start having very, very meaningful conversations with publishers, starting to build the supply on the Alkimi Exchange, which then means that advertisers can begin to access ad units that they were buying in the old centralized way in a decentralized manner using Alkimi Exchange, and kind of begin that step to capturing the ad spend to build out an effective marketplace and kind of eventually onboarding an entire sector onto the hypergraph, right? That's what we're here to do. We're not here to mess around. We want people to use this because it's a better solution than what exists right now. And this bidder being able to find the floor price and creating something from nothing, creating alchemy, if you will, allows us to really take a meaningful step forward on that path. So again, it's very, very exciting.
Absolutely.
About to give you a third round of applause, Chandru. And
Yeah.
I contain myself at the moment. Big day, right?
There's one. Yes, absolutely, Ben. There's one last bit that I want to show everybody. I was just pulling up the CSV file, which captures all of the data from the recent transactions that we've made. And let me quickly show you what's happening here. Right. So we have, so this is just the raw data that we've captured for all the transactions that we've shown so far. And I'm going to show you. Okay, let me start here. Now, we have, if you look at these 8 lines. So we have the first line here, which tells us all about the bid request. Now we have the time at which the bid request was sent out. We have the bid request ID, the bid ID, the impression ID. So quite a lot of information that's being captured here. We have the actual bid request that was sent to Alkimi Exchange. And we have information on what the media type was. And here we can see that it's banner. We also have certain flags which tell us whether the bid request came in and we sent out a request for bid responses. So this is what it says. Once the bid request came in, were the bid requests sent out to the bidders? Did we have some responses back from the bidders? If even one of them responded, that flag is set. This flag determines, it shows us whether one of those responses was valid and it actually won. So did we have a winner from that auction? And did that winning response actually generate an impression, or was that winning ad actually shown to the user? So these are the flags that we have. We also have the floor bid price that's captured here, which is 0.5 CPM. We also have information about the bid responses. In fact, here in this column, we capture what the winning bid price was, right? So that's everything from the publisher side. We also have data that we've captured from the bidder side, for example. So we see that the impression ID corresponds to what was there in the bid request. We also have confirmation that this bid response was for the banner ad. But what's interesting here is we have the bidder ID here, which is 123, and we also have the bids that came in. So we can see that bidder 1 bid 2 CPM, 0.8 and 1, and so on. So when we have this captured and we have similar data in these 4 lines for the video ad as well, and you can see here in this column that the flag for video is set to 1. Here we had seen that the flag for the banner ad was set to 1. And we also capture in these 2 lines the impression data. So if you can see that the impression ID here corresponds to the impression ID for the banner ad here, and the impression ID here corresponds to the one for the video ad. And if I just scroll to the right, I'm just going to ensure that I have the right rows that I'm showing you for the impression record.
Too much transparent data there.
So we see what the winning bid price was. And here we can confirm that. We see that bidder 1 actually bid 2 CPM, and here the winning bid was 3 CPM. And we see that captured here 2 and 3. And we also have confirmation that this bid response came from bidder 1. This bid response came from bidder 2. So all of that information is actually captured here. And this is a flag which tells us that, yes, the impression was indeed delivered to the user, right? So we have data which is captured in this CSV file, the data coming in from the publisher requesting for an auction to be conducted and what the bid request details were. We have information from the bidders with respect to the bid responses. And we also have information from the publisher confirming that the impression was delivered and what the winning bid prices were. So the publisher is completely aware of what the bid response was, what the winning response was, and how much they will eventually be paid for delivering that impression. So there is an end-to-end transparency, right? So all of this information is currently in the CSV file, but this will eventually go onto the hypergraph. And that is there for verification purposes as well. That's there for eternity on the blockchain.
I think it's important to point out at this point that what happens now is that you would not get that lost bid data. Yeah. So you can't actually action any sort of algorithms or anything to help you understand what's going on the losing bid side. You know, whether you decided to crunch that data, like you wouldn't have that basically. So it's really important for people to understand that we're able to put extra information into this object that people can then go and actually analyze later on, which hasn't been available before.
Yeah, it's like if a floor price was set at $2, let's say, for a particular ad unit, and that was getting filled 10% of the time by buyers, it may be that there's a huge density of bids that are coming in at $1.90, and that by having a 10-cent higher floor price, a publisher may be losing out on 50% of the potential revenue for all of their ad units. So that in and of itself is huge. You can say, right, okay, if we are more efficient and more effective with where we set our floor prices, we can improve the strategy and our yield that we get from bidders that are coming in through the Alkimi Exchange, to not only get more revenue because people are taking less margin, but actually get more revenue because they've got a much more effective floor price strategy and bid strategy than they've been able to do before, because it's been very difficult to crunch these numbers effectively. It's been very expensive to crunch these numbers. So like it's big, you know, like this is massive.
And I think as well, it's like the other thing for, you know, sort of layman's to point out here is that within a programmatic auction, there's three really important parts that happen. You have to be able to bid on an impression. You then have to be able to deliver that impression onto a page. And you also have to be able to visualize the data at the end of it. And effectively what we have here is all three parts of that. Obviously, this is the raw data, and you would have like a visualization tool, but that can be done via APIs. So that data in this sheet here, the raw data, can be plugged into any other data visualization tool, and you know, people can use the things they're already using. So it's that interoperability again.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, again,
that's all I have. That's all I have from my side.
Very, very nicely done. This is huge. I mean, the speed at which you guys have managed to do this as well is absolutely mind blowing. So yeah, we're so proud of you guys. Yeah.
Thanks guys. Thanks for all the support. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you for taking the time. We have very interesting conversations, and we get a bit tangential. So you're quite good at getting us back on topic, and what it's yielded is this amazing MVP and us on like a big first step onto getting the Alkimi Exchange out there into the hands of advertisers and publishers. So yeah, cannot thank the three of you enough for all the hard work you've done here, and yeah, on to the next one, you know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nicely done, boys.
Thank you very much.
We are going to jump off now. I think it's quite a big day. This is recorded, but should be going out today at some point, which is Thursday, which is the Alkimi Exchange IDO, which is funny for me to even say out loud.
It's always been 3 weeks. Right?
Yeah, so now it isn't. Now it's today. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions off the back of this demo, we're all in Telegram all the time. So please just speak to us, speak to our admins, and we'd love to answer your questions that you have on this. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Have a great day. And
Thanks. Ben, I just wanted to say thanks to the team as well for all the support. You guys, Ben, Choli, Neil, Kali, BJ, you've all been amazing. Thanks for rallying around, and it's been amazing working with everybody. And it's been an amazing community. We've had amazing support from Constellation as well. So
absolutely.
Thanks to everybody for making this possible. Thank you.
It really is the best community in crypto, as they say.
Yeah,
we can
It
test
is.
for that.
Absolutely.
And here's to the future, lads.
Absolutely.
with advertising.
Yeah, the future of advertising. Fix the internet with ads.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
On that bombshell, take it easy, guys. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.